So our third principle is text. Namely, you want to optimize for scannability. As you can see with the graphic to the right, we don't actually read a whole lot. We scan. Our eyes jump around from element to element looking for the right information. So when you're trying to optimize for this behavior, you want to do a couple of things. You want to make sure that information is organized left to right, top to bottom. Try and use short phrases, bullet points, and wrap up your data under a meaningful subheadline, kind of like we have right here. Try and limit your text to 2 or 3 fonts or font variations. A variation would be a color change, making something bold or italic. When you have too many variations, things just feel distracting, they're disjointed, and they're just harder to design for. When you limit your variations, you have an interface that feels more cohesive, there's more rhythm, and you can still have impact. You can also consider pairing your icons with your text, and that will help with recognition. They act as a visual break, and they're just kind of cool to look at. But if you do so, just be careful. You want to make sure that your icons are simple and easy to read, and that you always pair them with text, because different people can interpret icons differently. Also make sure to consider cultural differences with your icon selection. For example, if you were to create a button that sends out an email, you might want to avoid using a mailbox icon, because mailboxes in the US might look different from mailboxes in Europe or Asia. Consider maybe using an envelope instead, which is something that's a lot more universally recognized. Try and provide descriptive errors where possible. So consider a new user who might see this like arcane error for the first time. They might not know what to do with it or even what the issue is. So if you were to provide an alert that uses natural language, that could be far more useful to the operator. So ideally, you'd show what the issue was, what it affects, and what the operator can do to address the issue. If you have a lot of text, try and avoid center and right aligning it. Left aligned text kind of creates a nice rhythm for our eye and makes it easier for us to jump from one line to the next. You have this consistent baseline to the left and this kind of shifting edge to the right. It's called the rag. The cool thing about that is that the rag gives a kind of a visual placeholder for your eye as to which line it's leaving and then which line it should be entering next. When you center and right align your text, you remove all those hints, making it much harder to read. Also try to avoid justifying text. When you justify text, the computer tries to make both sides even, and it does so by squishing and expanding the spaces between your letters. And while it may look more neat and orderly, it can make it very difficult to read. You don't have the benefit of the rag, and you get all these weird, awkward spaces between your letters. If we were to apply our text changes to our HMI, we've done a couple of things. We've added icons to our buttons to make them a little bit easier to recognize. We've shortened some of our names. We've reduced our font variations, and our error now uses natural language to describe the problem.